Today is November 22nd. This is my second video today, and I had mentioned in the previous video that I recorded today that I would be putting my wig on. So this is the wig that I got. I tried to match it with my eyebrow color as best I could, and it feels really soft, a lot like real hair. I do have to wash this, like once a week, and there's a process to wash it, and it bounces kind of nicely, and it gets in my eyes when the wind's blowing, and it feels pretty nice and light. It's not too heavy, it's not too hot. So far it isn't. So I thought I'd just show you my wig. So this is it. I think I still have to work with it. I can put hairspray on it and fix it and do things with it. So it does make me feel a lot better when I choose to go out to dinner with my husband or with my family. I like to wear my wig when I'm out in public. So this is it. This video, what I want to talk about was the 12 weeks that I was on the chemo. Last time I talked about it, I think I'd been through 4 weeks of the chemo, and that was again where I would get by IV get steroids first, and then I would get the Benadryl, which would make me really sleepy, and then next would be the Herceptin, and then the last was the Taxol, and then it took about 3 hours to deliver all of that by IV. And I noticed that the first few weeks, I'm going to say probably 4 or 5 weeks, and it might have been even 6 weeks. I'm going to say 6 weeks. I really wasn't paying attention, but I'm going to say at least 6 weeks. That the side effects were very minimal. So if you're watching this video and you're about to embark on the same kind of treatment where it's the Herceptin and the Taxol specifically, I didn't have anything more than that. Just that it really wasn't that bad. It really wasn't that bad. I do have a port that was implanted here first, and I don't feel this. It doesn't bother me. It really doesn't bother me. But they would, of course, by IV would put the needle there, and that's how it administered. So it would take about 3 hours. During the Taxol, when they were administering the Taxol, which was like the last hour, that's when I would wear the ice packs on my hands and on my feet. And I also would chew on ice chips during that time to help reduce, the ice chips were to reduce any mouth sores. And I never had any mouth sores. And I don't know if with or without the ice chips, if I just wouldn't have had them, I don't know. I just know that I chewed on the ice chips for the hour, and then I kept ice. They were like little mittens, I guess, ice pack and gloves, like I kept my hands and my feet. And I kept my neuropathy to a little minimum. I had a little bit in one of my toes and then a little bit in my thumb, but now I'm 5 weeks post the weekly treatments, and that doesn't bother me so bad as far as like any neuropathy in my feet or my hands. So I consider myself very lucky. I will say, I think one of the first side effects I started noticing was heartburn. I don't have a long history of heartburn. I would, before my treatment, on occasion would get heartburn. But the heartburn was like every day, and I noticed that just naturally that my appetite had changed. Even though I could eat and I was hungry, I just didn't have any desire for like spicy food or fried food or chocolate. So those are the things I gave up during that. I just didn't have any interest in it. And if I did eat any of that, take a bite or two, because I just would say, well, maybe it's not so bad. I would get heartburn. So I did have to ask my doctor for some heartburn medication, which she gave me, and that helped a lot. So that was the first kind of symptom. I think beginning around week 9. Yeah, it was week 9. So I would get my treatment on Tuesday, and usually Thursday and Friday. Those 2 days tended to be my worst days as far as side effects, and I almost always felt better Saturday. By Sunday I felt back to my old self. So Thursday and Friday. On week 9 I did notice muscle aches, and I would get muscle and joint aches, but mostly muscle aches. So my back was hurting me and my feet were hurting me, and it was hard for me to walk, and it was hard for me to get comfortable. And I tried ice packs and heat, and my doctor prescribed, I think Tylenol, so I was able to kind of take that, but that ended up being a challenging week. Was week 9. It also came with what I think was pink eyes, and the funny thing of it is everything was just bothering me on my right side of my body. So my right eye, my right shoulder, my right knee, my right foot, all had something going on with them. So I think I had pink eye, and I contacted my oncologist. He said to get with my primary care, which I did, and the first set of drops wasn't helping. The second set of drops, anyway, I went through several things until I found something that helped my eye, and then the week 10, I was still, I go in Tuesday and had my infusion. Thursday and Friday, I start with a backache and shoulder ache, my foot. But then after that, it didn't bother me. It was like overnight. Overnight on week 10, everything was good. I didn't have any backache or problems with my eye. I just, it seemed like it was like a week and a half where I was having these issues, and then thankfully that was not bothering me, and I could sleep pretty good, and the heartburn medication was working for me, and that was really kind of the worst of it. Once I got into week 11, I was always worried about, well, is week 11, week 12 going to be worse? And they weren't. They really weren't. I think it was week 9 and 10. Week 11, I went for an infusion, and other than a little bit of heartburn, and that wasn't even every day, just a little bit of heartburn. The only other side effect that I had throughout the whole 12 weeks was just fatigue. So I was having to, as I mentioned before, have to sleep, take a nap, whenever. And since I'm retired, I could take a nap whenever and sleep. So that would be the other thing that I have to deal with, which, that isn't so bad, you're just needing to sleep. I did follow, though, and I really want to stress this because I think I mentioned it in another video if you haven't watched it, was I did pay attention to my diet. I started that the week before I started chemo. Had started researching about nutrition and the cancer patient because I kind of heard from other friends, that matters, like no sugar, and also staying away from like fried food. So I wanted to kind of educate myself about food, and I've been a believer even before this cancer journey about whenever I was sick with a cold, let's say, or something like that, that if I had chicken soup, the old chicken soup, it helped me with my recovery. So and also with another family member that had been in the hospital, was being treated by their doctor, but really weren't progressing day to day. Like they were expecting to release him, and then, well, he wasn't making the progress he wanted, and then, that the doctor wanted. Oops, lost my light. Hold on. Wasn't progressing, and they were trying different medical treatments, and it really wasn't progressing. So my family member ended up staying in the hospital, several days longer than what they had forecasted and predicted, and they were really kind of scratching their head. And you know what it turned out to be? It turns out that the family members in the hospital didn't care for the hospital food, right? So many patients complain about it because I think it was like a low sodium diet. So he was complaining about it. So he's calling family members that he knew was coming to visit him and asking them to bring him food. Like stop by the local hamburger place and bring him a cheeseburger and french fries and onion rings, or, bringing them stuff. And so they were sneaking him in food. So he wasn't eating the hospital food at all, just eating all this other food that, quite frankly, was comfort food. And it turns out because of the fried food, it was counteracting the medicine that they were administering to him to help him get better. And that's the reason why he wasn't getting better. And so they finally put it together, and so they educated him and the family about, listen, you can't just rely on just the medicine alone. The nutrition helps your body to heal. Like, you need the natural vitamins and all that to get your body and your blood cells and all that healthy, and in order to tolerate the medication. So I had gone through that with my family member, and I know I'm kind of laughing, but it's really not quite so funny, that I decided to take that seriously. So I did invest in some time and went online to see about, you know, nutrition in a cancer patient. And there's a lot of information that's out there. Unfortunately, the facility that I was going to for my chemo didn't offer a nutrition counselor, but that's okay. That's all right. I ended up finding a book, and I did follow that. Like, I was, the best advice in that book was that every bite matters, that not to turn to your comfort food. You know, comfort food I'm referred to like hamburgers, or like maybe a bag of potato chips or ice cream. I know there's a lot of information saying to the cancer patient, just eat whatever you can tolerate, whatever you feel like. Eat something that, you know, help you get through it. And I understand why they're saying that, and I get that. But I'll just say, for me, I decided to follow this nutrition book and think that would help me, only because I felt that way for many years. Whenever I was sick, I would always pay attention to what I'm eating while I'm sick. And I found a book, and I liked it, and it mentioned about like protein, you know, heavier on the protein, and eating, you know, pretty regular during the day, kind of setting yourself a schedule. Lots of water, which I did, and fruit, which I wasn't in the habit of eating a lot of fresh fruit, but I found I would get the frozen fruit in the grocery store, and then I can make smoothies with them in the morning. That would always make me feel better. If I had a smoothie, which I had fresh fruit, and I usually put some protein powder in it, along with some protein-based breakfast, would really make me feel so much better for the day. There was a day or two where I did not do that, where I would, you know, I like to eat around 8 o'clock in the morning, and that always helped me. Every time, without fail, it always helped me. But let's say I wasn't so diligent about that. Let's say I waited till 10 and I just ate something, and then I would, oh my gosh, I just feel so, you know, run down and feel so bad. And for me, diet mattered. As soon as I realized that I wasn't feeling good, I get right back on to following the recommendations that the book I got was authored by a nurse oncologist, and you know, I just decided she'd been with cancer patients for a long time. She might know what she's talking about, and I ended up just following the recipes in her cookbook, or her guidelines anyway. Foods to stay away from, as well as things to focus on, and that did make a world of difference. Plus, I drank all that water. I drank a lot of water. I think I drank, I had a tumbler and put 20 ounces of water in it. I would do 2 of those in the morning and 2 of those in the afternoon, and then 1 after dinner. Yeah, it was a lot of water, but it made me feel so much better. It did. It just really did. So that's what I can recommend. If you're watching this video and you're about to embark on this chemo journey, same as mine now, that's what I'm thinking. If it's very similar to mine, where it's the Herceptin and the Taxol for the breast cancer, that my recommendation is look online, get you a book about, you know, nutrition for the cancer patient. Really what it says is just you know, more protein, and every bite matters. So I did not have any interest in sugary things. That would give me heartburn anyway, so that was the thing. I did drink a lot of water, and I did add a lot more fresh fruit and vegetables, and You know what? I even got fresh fruit through, popsicle. You know how they make those frozen, and they're made out of fruit, and it's frozen, but it's on a stick like a popsicle, like a frozen fruit sickle, if you will. Strawberry and cherry and all that I had. That's another way that I got my, my fresh fruit. And so that, I can't stress enough how nutrition helped me through my 12 weeks to help me feel not horrible, not horrible. And it concluded the 12 weeks, so I'm very happy to be past that. So good luck to you on your journey. I do believe also what helped me, in addition to nutrition, being the protein, fruits and vegetables, all the water, I also meditated in the morning. And I'm not one that meditates a lot. I don't, I call it meditating, but maybe it's just my own version. Like I've mentioned before, is that, in the morning, I found a place outside of my house, kind of in my porch area, and in the quiet of the morning, which is the best part of the day for me, and I like to give thanks. So I'd find three different things that I was grateful for, and think about that thoroughly, and it just helped my spirit, if you will, to kind of get through the chemo journey and not be, all bothered, if you will, about cancer and being sick. And I also just kept moving as best I can. In the morning, I'd have the most amount of energy and motivation. So I would walk the dog around the neighborhood. I have access to a pool, so I go swimming. I got outside and got about 10 minutes of sun on me. I know you have to be sensitive about sun, so I'd only do it in the morning and do about 10 minutes. I'd get some fresh air in, but walk around my yard, find little projects to do. I'm personally not much on doing exercise. I've tried yoga, which I did like, and some other little exercises, but that helped me to just not be on the couch. You just don't want to be going from being sick and being in bed, like getting up and then maybe getting to the couch and just, watching TV and channel surfing and just being sick, but you're just on the couch, and then back to bed, Trying to get up and active and doing some other things will help your spirit and help you physically. So after I got up in the morning, get my coffee, I go outside, where I could hear like the birds singing and the day's just starting, and I'm finding three things to be grateful for would just be a wonderful way to start my day, so that I just wasn't mentally and physically in a space where I was sick all day, I do say some days were better than others. I had my good days and my bad days. My bad days would be Thursday and Friday. I did my best to kind of try to keep moving on those days as I could tolerate, and that helped a lot. But I'll have to say, if you're just watching this, you're about to embark on your Herceptin and Taxol chemotherapy journey for 12 weeks, and then following that every 3 weeks on the Herceptin. The anxiety that I had prior to starting week 1 was just intense. I was so beside myself and got myself so worked up and scared. And I have to say, that anxiety prior to my first treatment, all that anxiety was the worst part. That was the worst part of this whole thing, is how worked up I got. So if you're finding yourself that way too, that you're getting the anxiety because you haven't started, you don't know what to expect, and what's it going to be like for you, and physically, and how you're going to deal with it, I'm here to tell you, I was in that same space too. I was. And if you start to go online and research other people, you might get a whole ton of information and stories. And if you're doing that, please just try to find those stories or those resources that are on the same journey as you are, this and the same treatment that you are. There's so many different treatment, and they have their own side effects, and try to stay focused on to what your plan is. Otherwise it'll scare you to death. At least it did me. So again, I had the Herceptin and the Taxol. They gave me the Benadryl, and they gave me the steroid. And I really didn't have near as much problems with it. I didn't have nausea or vomiting or diarrhea or constipation or much challenges, except for those 2 weeks where I had some muscle aches, but that wasn't so bad. And I did follow the diet and drank all the water, and that helped me, and I kept moving, found ways to keep moving and getting up to move around a little bit. Something is better than nothing, than laying around in bed all the time. So hopefully you found this video helpful. That's the intention, is to say, now that I'm on the backside of the 12-week journey, to tell you what to kind of expect, or what I encountered. And now I'm just on the every 3 weeks, and I'll be dealing with that for the next I think 7 months. So that concludes this video. Thank you for watching.